Howdy gamers, let's talk about the runes for Jhin. Jin's not the best user of runes and he never really has been, as he's basically like a caster AD carry champion. The primary keystones that he usually runs is Fleet of Footwork and then Arcane Comment. I think that you're best off going Fleet of Footwork or Dark Harvest depending on your matchups. Starting off with Arcane Comment, I think it's a pretty misguided approach in like what you could get out of runes for Jhin. What Arcane Comment offers you is more poke on your abilities, but you have to have a lane that that works in. So usually with a mage support this could work out, but it would work out better if you had Dark Harvest, as you would be building up damage every time you got the enemy low versus dealing more poke damage to them with the Arcane Comment. You also need to be landing your W and your ult pretty consistently for Arcane Comment to really start getting value, because you can't really rely on it just off your Q bounces. It's pretty similar to like why running Arcane Comment on Misfortune would be bad. Like the damage that it adds in the laning phase isn't the end all, and then it gets drastically outscaled by other rune options. But with Arcane Comment, you get put in the sorcery tree, so then you have okay options of Nimbus Cloak, Celerity Transcendence, or Absolute Focus would all be completely fine. And then since you're running Arcane Comment, you should probably run Scorch, as both in combination deals a significant more amount of damage. And then if you're in a tree like this, you're probably best off getting Precision Secondary, as it gives you access to Coup de Grace, which Coup de Grace is going to give you more damage to targets who are low, and without this damage amplification, you're literally just missing out on like percentage damage increase that you can't get from the other rune trees. And then in the in Precision tree, then you have the option of Triumph or Presence of Mind second, where if you're not running Mana Flow, running Presence of Mind is completely fine, especially where you're really committing to adding to the poke of your abilities. So that's why I don't see this page being that great, as adding the damage to your poke it's not bad. That's why this page is kind of common, but you get so outscaled with it that it's usually not worth. And if you're going to win the lane, then you were going to do it without Arcane Comment anyways. So the other option would be Dark Harvest. With Dark Harvest, damaging champions with low health inflicts adaptive damage and harvests their soul, which permanently increases Dark Harvest damage by 5. Dark Harvest damage is based on your level, bonus AP, and then per soul, and it's on a 45-second cooldown. So if you're in that exact same lane with a mage support and you're poking the enemy a lot, you don't even have to kill them to be getting good value out of them, so long that you can be proccing Dark Harvest. And then building up the Dark Harvest damage is going to give you more value come mid to late game, as you don't, whenever you're damaging any target that's low, you're going to be getting the Dark Harvest proc, and then that's just going to be dealing more damage. And since Jhin functions as a caster AD carry, you can do this pretty consistently. And especially if you start getting resets and if you have a proper fight set up, then the damage is more meaningful than Arcane Comment would be, as you'd be dealing it to targets who are low versus getting an Arcane Comment proc off on a tank that you cast Q on. Think about it. And then with Dark Harvest, you're into the Domination tree, which isn't too bad. You can have the Laning tool and Taste of Blood. With Taste of Blood, you heal whenever you damage an enemy champion, and this heal is only on a 20-second cooldown. So with Jin's laning phase, it's a lot of just clearing waves with your Q, and then if the enemy goes for a 1-auto trade with you, and you go for a 1-auto trade with them, you're usually losing, but then Taste of Blood will help supplement that a bit. And where it's only on a 20-second cooldown, it's usually around trading windows anyways. For the third rune here, you're really choosing how you get the bonus attack damage from them. Zombie Ward, you get the bonus attack damage through clearing wards. Ghost Portal, you get it through placing wards. Then Eyeball Collection, you get it through getting kills or assist. Since you're playing the AD carry, Eyeball Collection is completely fine, as you're the champion who should be getting kills or assist. And it's really easy to get assist with Jhin too because of his W and ult. For the fourth road here, all these are the Bounty Hunter runes, where they stack up for each unique kill and assist. So you kill the top laner one, the jungler it's one, the mid laner it's one, the AD it's one, support's one, etc. Your good options are Ravenous Hunter or Relentless Hunter. Ravenous Hunter heals you for a percentage damage dealt by your abilities, and then Relentless Hunter heals you, or it gives you 10 out of combat movement speed. That might seem kind of weird for an AD carry, but it does help you, as you're such a long range champion that it can help you get back into a fight after you've spent your abilities. With Ravenous Hunter, like, yes, it adds healing, but like, don't get too crazy, man. This is only healing on your abilities, so only your Q, W, E, and ult. And usually you're casting those for max range at full HP. So even when you get onto the enemy, it's basically like healing off one Q cast. It's really not that crazy. It can help you in like dire situations, and it might be like easier to use, but the healing from this is kind of whatever. With Relentless Hunter, the out of combat movement speed is going to help you. It's going to help you come back to lane. It's going to help you move around the map, and like if there's skirmishes or whatnot, it helps you get to those faster. And you really only have to get to, like, let's say there's a fight happening top lane and you're mid lane, you really only have to get like 40% of the way there, and then you can ult and you're in range to actually damage the person that your team is fighting. So that's the value of Relentless Hunter, and where you don't get much value from the healing, it's really like a pretty solid option. And then if you're running Domination primary, Precision secondary would give you access to Coup de Grace, which again amplifies your damage to low targets, and then Presence of Mind, that gives you mana for kills and assist. You could also go Sorcery second with Nimbus Cloak and Gathering Storm. Nimbus Cloak giving you more protection, as whenever you cast Heal or Flash, it gives you more movement speed. So a lot of what Jhin needs to do is get away from targets that are on top of him. And then with Gathering Storm, it's going to give you attack damage every 10 minutes in the game. You really need to think about the matchups depending on what runes you would want to run second. So if the enemy has a lot of champions that have to dive onto you, so think about like Irelia, Jax, Zac, etc., then Nimbus Cloak is going to be giving you way more value, as it helps you run the fuck away from them. If you're against long range targets, so champions like Vel'Koz, Caitlyn, etc., then Presence of Mind and Coup de Grace is going to give you more value, as it's more so your team's job to get on top of them, and then it's your job to deal damage to them once your team is on top of them with your long range abilities. So that's that. And then if you're running this, I don't even think you need the attack speed from runes. I think running double attack damage is completely fine. I might be off with like auto attack cadence in the early minion waves or something, but with Jhin and the way he functions, I think it's completely fine, as he makes such good use out of the bonus AD from the runes and from the get-go too. So this is a completely fine page, and I don't see it utilized too often. The most common page that I see is Fleet of Footwork. With Fleet of Footwork, attacking and moving builds up energy stacks. At 100 stacks, your next attack is energized. The energized attack heals you for 3 to 60 based on level. Did you hear that? 3. It heals you 3. Think about it. Plus 0.3 bonus AD and grants you plus 20% movement speed for 1 second. So that's where the real value comes in, is that 20% movement speed for 1 second. And then the healing from minions is reduced. The value of Fleet of Footwork is pretty much the same value as Nimbus Cloak on Jhin. It helps you get away from targets that are on top of you. The healing is kind of negligible, and especially in a laning phase, like, it feels okay. But think about like Yasuo using Fleet of Footwork versus Jhin using Fleet of Footwork. It's a completely different thing. And where Fleet of Footwork basically only functions as a defensive tool for him, you do lose a bit of value, and you're always going to be missing out on damage if you're not running Dark Harvest. But it's not terrible. And especially, like I said, if you're playing into the matchups where the champions have to dive onto you, then Fleet of Footwork gains more value. Fleet of Footwork in solo queue as well gives you a bit more like leniency, where you don't have to depend on your team to peel for you as much as you have like your own protection. So it's like a luxury in that sense too. It's also, I suppose, easier to use, as it's going to give you more movement speed to either chase someone down or run away. So it's gonna compensate your missed positions no matter what. But it's really just about the percentage movement speed increase. For the third rune here, you have the option of Overheal, Triumph, and Presence of Mind. Overheal giving you a shield based on excess healing. Triumph restoring you your HP for every kill and assist, and then Presence of Mind giving you mana for every kill and assist. With Overheal, The like stronger on hit ADs make way better use out of this. So think about Aphelios, Misfortune, Varus, Kog'Maw, etc. Those champions are going to be hitting a lot more often, and then also can build up the shield earlier through building like lifesteal items. And where Jin's so long range anyways, he's not looking to trade like auto for auto and then have the benefit of this minor shield. With Triumph, again, where you're playing backline, especially at the start of fights, you're probably at full HP anyway, so restoring your health on kills and assists is kind of a luxury on Jhin. With Presence of Mind, it's a way to get access to extra mana that you otherwise wouldn't be able to with Jhin, because you don't want to be itemizing it. It's just too expensive for him. And with it, with the extra mana, you can just cast more Ws, more Qs, etc. So I think that's completely fine. With Presence of Mind too, it restores 12% of your maximum mana whenever you get a kill or assist. So even if you're low on mana as a fight starts, then you're going to be able to restore it as the fight goes on. So that's that. With the third rune, you have the option of Alacrity, Tenacity, or Bloodline. Basically, attack speed, tenacity, or lifesteal. I think all of these are like kind of okay options, and then also kind of just low value options on Jhin, as yeah, they're kind of just whatever. And but if you're, I think lifesteal has to be the highest value on it, where since you're already running Fleet of Footwork, and since Jhin doesn't want to itemize a lot of lifesteal anyways, he just wants to itemize the crit. Having the lifesteal from runes and then building a lot of crit, you're inevitably just building more. You're inevitably getting more value out of your build through healing more, through dealing more damage because of it. And Bloodline also has a synergy with Fleet of Footwork, as once the enemies are on top of you, every hit that you hit them with is going to be healing you more. So it does become more impactful in that sense. The attack speed is super low value compared to the lifesteal in that sense. And if you're already running this page, then I think that you should just be running the lifesteal for that reason. And then since we're here again, coup de grace, I suppose you could run cut down depending on the matchups. But if you're playing Jhin into like Scion or like Cho'Gath or something, man, like yes, cut down's going to give you more damage, but you're in a bad spot anyway, so good luck. But cut down will help you against those tank champions, Sejuani, Zac, Trundle, etc. Good luck. And then for the secondary runes, if you're running this page, I suppose, again, that you're playing into the champions I want to dive onto, and then Nimbus Cloak is going to be giving you the highest value over almost every single rune. You could make an argument for Perfect Timing and Biscuits, as the Perfect Timing would give you the one-time stopwatch. The problem with this is that Jhin doesn't really have anything good to build it into second, unless you really have good itemization into Guardian Angel. Like one crit item into Guardian Angel could be completely fine, depending on like the game state and then depending on the enemy team comp. So if the enemy team comp is like primarily attack damage, then it wouldn't be so bad. And if the enemy team comp has so much dive that it wouldn't even matter if you run Nimbus Cloak. So think about like Irelia, Jax, Sejuani, Zac support, and Kai'Sa. Like, yes, you could run a little faster away from them, but if you don't have the survive everything move, then really good luck. But defaultly, Nimbus Cloak plus Gathering Storm is going to be giving you the most value and also be like the most, the easiest to use, and then also like it just gives you more luxury in solo queue, as with Nimbus Cloak, again, after you cast a summoner spell, you gain movement speed increase that lasts for 2.5 seconds and allows you to move through units. The increase is 15% to 35% based on the cooldown of the summoner spell that you used. So the higher the cooldown on the summoner spell, the faster you go. So you flash away, makes you way faster than if you use the heal. But the movement speed gained on the heal is very, very good. Where you're going to be playing in the bot lane and the top lane are longer lanes in League. So having the extra movement speed, even when you're healing, is going to be really, really impactful, especially to early ganks from minutes like 7 to like 13, to actually be able to get away from those. And then to position in team fights, and then also just to run the fuck away from the champion that jumps on top of you mid to late game. So that's the huge value out of Nimbus Cloak. And then since you're already in this tree, the second highest value rune you can get is Gathering Storm. Gathering Storm is going to be giving you attack damage every 10 minutes, Most games are just going to be sitting on the extra plus 14 AD at 20 minutes. But if the game goes longer and longer, you keep getting value out of it. The reason you don't want to run absolute focus is with absolute focus, while you're above 70% health, you gain bonus AD based on level. You gain less levels as AD carry, and then you also have to be above 70% HP for this to even work. So absolute focus can beat Gathering Storm's AD offered value a little bit before mid game starts, but then once mid game is started past 20 minutes, then a Gathering Storm's always winning, and then continues to beat absolute focus harder and harder as the game goes on. So that's my thoughts on that. And then I would still recommend the AD over the attack speed um, on this page too, as a lot of what Jhin does is just queuing the wave. It's not so much about having an auto attack every single second. So that's my thoughts on Jhin runes. Yeah, that's all I have to say. If this video helped you, leaving a like on the video helps me. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments. I answer literally all of them. If you think I'm wrong or have like something to add that maybe I don't know or missed on Jhin, then leave that in the comments as well. And if you're interested in watching me play or talk about League of Legends, you can check out my Twitch. It's twitch.tv/SawyerNelson. Links in the description. Jhin, man. He was strong like, geez, it was like season 5 or something with Zyra and Nami. Poor guy.